We just finished watching this video and I gave you guys a better insight of my time training in Taekwondo, and I'm very curious to know what you guys have to say. Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Now, we might have some new viewers to this channel and specifically this video, so welcome. But let me also introduce myself. I am a former Taekwondo Olympian for Team Canada, and I've been training since I was young. That means I have sacrificed a whole bunch during that journey, but now this channel and content is based around me just learning different sports and the history behind it all. So if you want to join the journey, hit that subscribe button and let's get on with the video. Now, we had a great time watching one of the training videos last week. I just want to hit another video and see how training in boxing is comparable to Taekwondo.
During the end of my professional boxing career, I worked alongside Evander Holyfield with Tommy Brooks as our trainer. And I'm going to give you the workouts that we did when we were in the gym. Now, I understand that there is thousands of different boxing coaches out there that gives their fighters thousands of different workouts. I work with a bunch of trainers in my time, but on this video, I'm going to tell you the workouts that I used to do alongside Evander Holyfield
training like a
as a professional boxer. And this is kind of the general workout that boxers do. And it's a workout that I would recommend you to do as well, no matter where you are in your boxing career or your boxing.
Look at that wall. He has a belt.
Good workout to do in the gym. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the running that I used to do as well. So stay tuned for the end to hear about my runs that I would do.
Do you guys know who Tony Jeffries is? Are you guys familiar with who he is and his game? He does have a title, but it does seem like he won a championship, but I'm curious to know what you guys think of him. Now let's see what he has to say though.
And if you're new to this channel, my name is Tony Jeffries. I'm an Olympic medalist boxer, a former undefeated professional, 7 times national champion, European gold medalist, and on this YouTube channel, I give you everything boxing education, how to punch harder, how to punch faster.
Okay, but I don't do education.
All that good stuff. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss another valuable video like this one right here. So let's get into it.
Okay, so he's also an Olympic bronze medalist, just like your boy washed Olympian here, but I did it for Taekwondo, so he does have a lot of accolades. Did you guys also know that?
Like I mentioned before, boxing training is different no matter who you're training with. When I was training for the Olympic Games, we trained a lot different to when I was training as a professional. We were training 4 times a day, 4 days a week, then two times a day, 1 day a week, and then having 2 days off.
See, now, when I was doing Taekwondo and training for the Olympic Games, I didn't have that kind of schedule. But the ways that I would train in Taekwondo are much different. We trained every day, 2 to 3 times a day, depending on our schedule and what day it was. But we would never have those kind of days off. Even if we were closer to the tournament, our last maybe 2-3 weeks when we were trying to hit our peak, we would still come into training and we would train very light. Maybe not 100% effort, but we would still be using our footwork, making sure that we're like sharpened and ready to hit that peak on that fight day. We would map it out and have the intensity slowly go down, but we would still be training 2 to 3 times a day. We would maybe face the mirror and we would practice kind of shadow boxing, not like actual shadow boxing with our hands, but we would just move around, visualizing the opponent, what we would do. Sometimes we wouldn't even throw kicks, but we would have that point celebration still. So for instance, I would go and spar and I would just go Batsu, and I would be so confident. We're raising our confidence up, right? We're getting mentally prepared so that like when you leave that gym to go to your competition, your body isn't too relaxed, but isn't also too fatigued. It's like you have like the nice sweet spot. You're like well lubricated. So it's very, very different to a boxer. I have never had a time where I felt like I had a crazy amount of time off. I would always be spending time either in school, and if I wasn't in school, I was in the gym. If I wasn't in the gym teaching class, I was training. I don't really relate to this. I wish I had a little bit more time to develop myself personally, and maybe it would have been better for my mental health. But he's an Olympic bronze medalist in boxing, and his training resume is way different than mine.
It's very different to when I'm training as a professional. As an amateur, my sessions were shorter and a lot, I'd say, faster and different, lots of more variation. As a professional, what I'm going to tell you now, it was a lot more redundant, the same thing over and over again, and that's what we're going to get into.
Olympic training, amateur training, professional training, that was all the same. Okay, we didn't have different levels. We didn't have a time where you were an amateur, a professional, or an Olympian. You basically either want to go to the Olympics or you don't. You basically want to win world championships or you don't. You basically want to be #1 in the world or you don't. As you increase, you get more technical, then you try to get more of that speed in all that technique, then you develop a toolbox, then you understand what you're good at and sharpen it and keep going. Then there's times after that you go back to foundation to remember where you came from and that you still need to do it over and over again. And then you just repeat the cycle. It's like that cycle of life, you know?
Final session for me to come into the professional boxing gym would be, I would start off with a warm-up, warming up all my body, all the specific muscles on my body. And I've done a full video on how to warm up
correctly. We never did any of
this. Click the link below and watch that one after this video. It's a great video that will give you a perfect understanding of what you should be doing for your warm.
Yeah, our warm-ups were done a lot differently. When we were warming up, we would just run in a circle until our coach comes down, right? So he doesn't tell us, hey, come out, warm up. Let's say class started 8 o'clock, we right away pair up and we start running around in a circle, warming up, and then we change directions. If he still didn't come down, because we wait for the coach to come and kind of start the session. If he hasn't, we just start practicing what we've learned last class and we slowly warm up our legs. Then our coach would come down and start the training session.
I would grab the jump rope and I would do 4 3-minute rounds. I would be jumping not on a hard floor, but on a board. With
okay, yeah. You don't want shin splints, man.
Impact on my knees and my shins.
Yeah.
So I would do 4 3-minute rounds of jump rope without a rest in between. Now, a rest time at the gym was 30 seconds. So 4 times 3 minutes is 12 minutes, plus the 30 seconds in between, which is like 13 and a half minutes.
We don't really warm up with ropes like every time. So we would utilize that as an actual exercise to make sure that our footwork is always sharp, but it was very intense. We can spend maybe like 2-3 hours just skipping, but all of us have to complete 100 of everything. It was exhausting. We didn't have a break. It was basically like, you want to stop? He would just criticize and kind of inform you that other people aren't quitting while you're quitting. So it was a little tough.
Then from there, I would get in the ring to do me shadow boxing. My hands would already be wrapped. Then from there, I would get in the ring to do me shadow boxing. My hands would already be wrapped. I would wrap my hands up before I start my warm up at the beginning of the session.
I guess
so
he trains himself.
And you can see here, I'm in the ring with Evander Holyfield. We are training alongside each other, doing our shadow boxing. When we're doing shadow boxing, we always used to do 4 3-minute rounds of shadow boxing.
Just wanted to pause real quick. When you guys go into your training gym, do you guys just always train on your own, or does the coach end up telling you what to do? Like, do you guys always coach yourselves? How does the coach come into play? Because it seems like he is warming up by himself. He made a plan by himself. He's going into the ring and kind of doing his shadow boxing. Like, everything here that he's so far saying, our coach is kind of prepared for us and set us up to do during our actual sessions. We do very minimal on our own. It's like 5-10 minutes warm up on our own. He'll then come down from his office and then we begin training.
With 30-second rest in between. Now I will be focusing on different things while I'm shadow boxing. Yeah. And if I had a fight coming up, I would be visualizing my opponent in there and visualizing how I'm going to beat that opponent. Different game plans and tactics, as well as, you know, throwing some fast punches in there, getting me heart rate up a little bit. But
that's always closer to the tournament.
You know, you're still kind of warming up in the first round or two of shadow boxing, warming up the specific muscle.
Yeah, see, we do the same thing, but like I said, we don't do that as part of our warm-up. We don't do that as the initial entry of every training. That's specifically designed in our training schedule that closer to the tournament, maybe 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, we start to imply a lot of these as our training methods. That's actually a training session. He'd time us. We would sometimes just stand still and just say what we're gonna do, or partner up. We used to partner up and say like, oh, I'm gonna throw a front leg fast kick, and then the other person will counter and say, well, I slid back from your fast leg counter and then I came forward in your distance. And then I would say, well, when you came forward, I actually did a front leg fast kick, waited for you to come forward, and then I countered front leg on the spot. And then we would try to see, without fumbling and stumbling, how far we can go by, even though, you know, we can say that the point didn't count or whatever, but we like to play that as a game.
That you're going to be using for your boxing
so
session.
Different.
So I would ease up into the 4 3-minute rounds of that, focusing on different things. I would never just go in there without a plan. I would also always go in there
coach always has
a plan of, well, like I said, whether it's my game plan against my opponent or whether it's
when we're shadow boxing, that's our plan,
or something like that. It's very beneficial, and that's how you get the most out of shadow boxing, by having themes for each round. So after my 4 3-minute rounds of shadow boxing, then I would get the gloves on, and I would either do sparring, which was 2 to 3 times a week. If I wasn't sparring, I would
2 to 3 times a week.
But let's just talk about the sparring.
Our club rarely sparred. We believe that we would do a lot more exercises, so all we would would do is put our kind of forearms in shin guards, and we would just train exercises and do drills with a partner. We wouldn't really spar and let us do whatever we want. There's a specific training method that he wanted us to learn. It's like shadow boxing, but with a partner and with gear on, but we would never do a full out sparring session.
When sparring, depending where I was in my training camp, I would do 4, 6, or 8 rounds sparring. My last fight was an 8-round fight, and I didn't do more than 8 rounds sparring for an 8-round fight. It would be 3-minute rounds with a 30-second rest in between each one. Then now after I've done the 8,
it's crazy. When I used to do all these drills, ours was way more intense. That's why, to me, this how he's training doesn't seem that intense, because I've done it way more intense than this. We don't do these kind of 8 rounds or whatnot. It's, I feel, a lot more hardcore, a lot more crazier. Back then when I was doing all that seemed so normal to me. So listening to this, I'm like, oh, this seems like easy training, you know, unless it gets harder.
3-minute rounds of sparring with the 30-second rest in between. I would get out and take my head guards off and get onto the heavy bag. And I would do 2 3-minute rounds with 30-second rest in between. So then after there, I would go on to the speedball. I would do 2 3-minute rounds, and sometimes I would stop for the 30-second rest in between. Other times I would just go all the way through. So I would be doing 6 minutes to 6.5 minutes on the speedball to finish it off right there. Then after the speedball, I would get the mat out and I would do ab work, core work.
Interesting.
I would do 2 3-minute rounds
this all by himself
with 30-second rest in between. And again, sometimes I wouldn't even use the 30 seconds. I would just go all the way through. But often with the abs, they would be that intense. I would be really, you know, hurting on that. So I would take me 30-second rests before I do the other one.
It's just so interesting to learn how other people used to train. For me right now, it seems like he didn't have his coach plan his exercises, or he wasn't really listening to his coach, or there wasn't like someone guiding him through each exercise. We had a little bit more of a structured schedule. The first 3 weeks, it's going to be learn a new kick, sharpen that kick, and get that kick well known and natural. Then we go on to the next one where we do drills with that kick. Then we would take that foundation of whatever kick he was teaching us or a new way of kicking. We would then, after those 2-3 weeks of like just pumping repetitions, we would partner up and then try to use it in certain scenarios. Maybe you're stuck in the corner. Maybe you're putting someone in the corner with it. You're in the 3rd round with 2 minutes left. Maybe you're losing, winning, all those types of scenarios. Then we would move on to the sparring session. That's when we utilize. And he wants to see us just without anything, without any direction. All right, spar. Go ahead. Let me see how he utilizes it in free roam, right? So we do that for maybe a week or 2. After that, we go into visualization, so shadow boxing, and we now are visualizing ourselves performing that new method of strategy or kick alongside our toolbox. So something that we've already been comfortable with, our styles, how we engage on 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd round, our ab workouts or our leg workouts or our physical like training, our circuit training would be our ab workout, but it's like 3 hours long. He comes down after the warm up, and when he says, okay, line up, and then when he tells us to go back, this was the scariest part, okay? When he tells us to go back, we already know. And he goes, all right, start with burpees, 50. And we're like, yo, you're kidding me. Today, out of all days? Damn, you know, it's depressing.
Yeah, I would do a cool down and stretch for a good 10, 15 minutes and just relaxing and reflecting on the session, what I've just done right there. Now I just want to reverse back to the sparring. If I wasn't sparring, I would have just went and done the heavy bag, working on this thing here. And I would do 8 3-minute rounds of heavy bag with 30-second rest in between when I'm fighting for an 8-round fight, focusing on different things. Good form, always focusing on good form. I always have my coach, Tommy Brooks, shouting, come on, Tony, move your head, hands up. Working on my bad habits all the time when I'm on that. And then after the bag, again, I would go to the speedball. Then after the speedball, form. So that's the session right there. I'm going to put it here for you. So look, we've got the 10, 15 minutes warm up, followed by the 13.5 minutes jump rope, followed by the 4 3-minute rounds of shadow boxing, 8 rounds of sparring plus 2 rounds heavy bag, or we would just do the straight 8 rounds of heavy bag, then followed by 2 4 3-minute rounds of the speedball, Then from there, go into the 2-3 minute rounds of ab work. Then from
cool
there,
down.
we go straight to the stretching and cooling down and reflecting.
So I know a lot of you guys don't know Taekwondo or the exercises that I'm talking about. So I'm gonna explain them in boxing terms and try to follow a method just like this. So we still come into a 10-15 minute warm up that is on our own, but that's only to get the blood flowing and wait for our coach to come in. Our coach will actually have specific training for us. So if we train 3 times that day, that one session could be all jump rope. The next training session could be all heavy bag. And the session after that could be shadow boxing. So we use the entire session on one thing, okay? And then after that training session, we cool down. Depending on what month it is and where we are in terms of how close we are to our fight day, we could either be doing physical exercises, just physical training, just like full on break down the body, break down the spirit, and just see, can you come back up? Doesn't matter how sore you are. Another couple weeks, it could be just repetition. So we could be doing 100 jabs, bang, bang, 100 jabs, 100 reverses, 100 hooks. This is both hands, okay? If you're doing it with your left hand 100, you got to do it with your right. And we would just spend maybe 2-3 weeks just on that. After that, it gets closer to our tournament day. We would maybe focus more on visualization and technique and IQ and how we're going to be in the ring. Maybe I'm a boxer caught in the corner and I have someone aggressive. How do I go from a defensive stance into an offensive stance? How can I kind of move around the ring and get myself in a better spot? That could be like a whole day, even lasting like a few weeks. Somewhat everything that he's saying is similar. We do warm up in the beginning and we always cool down. That's the only two things that I believe are similar, but there's a lot more exercise that he does that goes from heavy hitting, sparring, shadow boxing, and then speed. We wouldn't really have like one full session of multiple different things. It would literally be the same thing over and over and over again. It was brutal. It was brutal. I think one of the worst ones is when we had to do conditioning and we have ropes tied around our ankle, okay? And they're like attached to the wall. Then you gotta kind of like move forward to feel that tension. And then we do knees up and then we do front leg knees up. Oh, I can't. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, it was rough on the body. Always during our lowest days, okay? After we finish our school, 2 p.m., I remember, always repetition days. So like I mentioned, it's very similar to what he's saying, but it's making me believe like if I started boxing and if I trained the way I did in Taekwondo in a boxing gym, I don't know. I would probably have a better time performing in boxing than I did in Taekwondo because I am not flexible with my legs. That's the one thing that I didn't have in Taekwondo is the flexibility with my legs. So it was really tough for me to like hold it above the belt or kick the head.
Reflecting. Now this is the important thing. Reflecting on your session,
yes,
thinking about your session,
always.
Relaxing, calming down, letting the heart rate come down, letting the body recover before you just get up and jump in the car and then drive home or wherever you want to go.
I wish I got to drive home.
Let the body relax and enjoy that stretch and enjoy that time after the gym to let your mind
text me,
unwind a little bit and think about the session, think about your opponent, think about
gets people
what
to
you've done
text
right,
him.
what you've done wrong, and if it was sparring or not. That right there is a crucial part of your session right at the end.
So he is correct. You know, after each session, you want to kind of recover. You make sure that your heart rate's down, make sure that all your, obviously when I was like 16, 17, I didn't believe in that. When you're young, man, you can just jump in, no warm up, jump out, no cool down and feel brand new. But let me tell you, it is true what they say, those catch up with you. And let me tell you, I am feeling the pain from back when I was 17.
Well, I want to dive a little bit deeper into this in some future videos. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and turn the bell notifications on so you don't miss this. But
okay,
really
Tony,
quick, I would run 5 to 6 times a week. They would vary, like a long, steady run. I would do that
never did outside running.
3 times a week, maybe.
No.
And that right there would be like a slow pace. That's just building up your leg strength, working on your stamina and working on controlling your weight. That's what I would do that for. Then other runs that I would do is I would do a sustained run. Now this right here is an absolute killer.
Like high intensity, like sprint?
All of the details on this on the other video I do about running. But this one basically was on a running track. I would do 800 meters, rest, 800 meters, rest, 600 meters, rest, 600 meters, rest,
bursts.
400 meters, rest, 400 meters rest,
high
and then I would finish
ones.
off with a 200-meter run going as fast as I can. Absolute killer. But I used to wear my heart rate monitor and I used to measure my recovery rate of that. I'm going to give you all them details in the next video that I do on this. And then other videos I would do would be some sprints where I would be running 100 meters as fast as I can, turning around, coming back as fast as I can, doing about 12 of them as well. So in a nutshell, that was me running. But That's all scheduled. It was all scheduled out. Again, I'll do another video on that later on.
This was a great video. I'm not actually really sure if you guys who boxed before had a similar training session like he did. I'm more curious, has anyone had a training session similar to mine? I experienced only one way to train Taekwondo and one way to train, period. After watching this video, man, I feel like boxing, if I went into boxing, I would have killed it. I would have killed it in boxing. Unless it's different for everybody. Like, I want to use this channel to just kind of see different perspectives because I've only trained one way. So I always felt like what I did was normal. Me training 3 times a day, every day was normal. I thought going very, very intense and spending the whole day in the gym to get mentally prepared and physically ready for the tournament was normal. Regardless of all of that, hope you guys enjoyed the video and my story time. I don't know if you guys are honestly enjoying the stories. I would love to hear from you guys if you guys are enjoying it. So if you enjoyed today's video and you like the content, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and I'm gonna be reading all your comments down below. That's it for the video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers for now. Peace.